Hey there, friends. Hey, I am back with more continued learning in OpenSCAD, and I've got one more video I do want to share with you. And so I've got a third model that I'm going to upload to MakerWorld and enter into this contest that they currently have going on with OpenSCAD. And so wish me luck. But as I'm learning, I really enjoy sharing information with you. So maybe those of you out there that are also learning OpenSCAD, this will be fun for you. And if you have tidbits or things that I could do differently, then definitely let me know. But this particular model is cool in that it can be completely customized. And so I've created this little rough outline of a cat, this little 3D cat, and it printed out really cute. And so I've done all of this in OpenSCAD, and it turns out, like other programming languages, you can create functions and modules in OpenSCAD. And so I don't know if I've done this correctly or using it correctly, but it worked for my purposes in that I am creating distinct shapes. Like, for instance, the head and body. The head and body are just two spheres, and so a smaller sphere and a larger sphere. And so I have created that as the main cat body shape. Now, whenever you actually run this module, nothing happens. It won't actually do anything with that part of the code. It just defines that shape. But whenever you call that, then that's when something actually happens and creates the actual physical shape here on our test plane. So if, for instance, down here is where we're calling the module, the ear shape, and then here is where I'm calling the head body. So I actually started with trying to figure out the locations. So this part down at the bottom of this script file, this is where everything gets drawn and put into the correct position. And I tell you, it was a lot of trial and error to get these translate commands just right of exactly where I wanted it on the X, Y, and Z axis. And then had to fiddle around with my leg shapes quite a bit to get them to rotate around correctly for me. But what I mainly wanted to show you is you can create the shape in and of itself, and that stands as its own, kind of like an object, its own item. And then down here is where you combine all those different items and you tell it exactly where to put them in your space. So again, this particular file I'm going to share to MakerWorld, and so you can customize it to whatever you want. I'd love to see what you can come up with and add extra things to the cat, or distort the cat, or take off these legs and make your own legs, make a tail for it. I couldn't quite figure out how to do a tail. And maybe even a face, maybe the cat wants to hold something, so just have fun with it and see what all you can do. And we can come in here and get our axis back where it was and make it a little bit smaller. Oh, like see here, my ear may not, I think my printout looks a little bit better. So, well, I don't know, but definitely play around with that. So the positioning of the ear may not be perfect there. And then this kind of gets you dizzy a little bit. Yeah, see, like that ear, it probably needs to go up, go down a little bit, or move the head up. But anyway, so just a very rough cat, and the printout looked pretty good. Whenever I take it to Bamboo Studio, I did make it a little bit smaller, and I had to use supports to print it. But it just printed it in regular PLA in a solid color, and it turned out pretty cute. And then again, I will be posting this to where you can get access to it inside of MakerWorld. And then so just play around with these numbers. I would suggest going in and maybe changing one number at a time to see what happens, and then just learn that way. And I have actually left some commented code in here, so I would just encourage you to take out these comment markers, just delete that and regenerate it and see what happens. It's really cool. You can get a lot of expression out of cats. Just they can move their ears in so many different places to give them cute expressions. But again, just a really file. But as we go back out here to OpenSCAD, let me just show you, for instance, these commands will run on their own. And that's how I created all these different shapes. So if we take this over into a new file, I'm just going to copy and paste that. And I know I've got some indents here, but I'm going to see if it will still run this. Yeah, see, so that's the basic body shape that I'm using. And so once you get your shapes the way you'd like, then you can come back and just put it into a module like I've done. Let me just show you this leg shape, because this got pretty tricky. So I'm going to copy that and then just paste it over here in a brand new file. And let me rotate this around a little bit. So I started off with just a cylinder. Turns out you can do a tapered cylinder and then a sphere. And this sphere has been kind of squashed. So here we have the cylinder. Here we have our sphere, but this resize will squash your sphere. You can squash it, on the X, Y, or in this case, I just did it on the Z axis. So play around with that and see what other kind of cool shapes you can come up with. And then I just tried to figure out how to angle the leg there a little bit with this rotate. And then translate was for the sphere. So I moved the sphere down just a little bit on that Y axis, I think is what it ended up. Yeah, because if I rerun this, let's see, I get all kind of mixed up on the X, Y's, and Z's. But the beauty of this is if you define just one shape, it really doesn't matter what axis it's on, because when you put all your shapes together, then that's where you can do more translating and rotating to get them exactly where you want it on the full cat. And so that got a little bit tricky to try to figure out where to put a leg. And then the beauty of this, you define one leg, and then you can call that module as many times as you want. So you could have a cat with many legs, or you could put some legs up here and let that be his paws. And then again with the ear, I defined one ear shape, and then I was able to call it again and just give it a different translation. So here's the one ear, and then we're going to move over on the x-axis 15 units and draw another ear. And then let me show you these ears. I was really proud of this ear shape because this took quite a while to figure this out. And I've talked about difference before, so I copied this over without the difference, and so you can, let me see if I can zoom in, and so you can kind of see how I did this to get that ear shape. Let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger and zoom in. So I have started off with 3 shapes. And so the basis of the ear is this bottom distorted sphere. And so again, it's kind of an elongated squash sphere. So with the resize and the sphere. And then I made a smaller sphere. And so this is that top sphere. And then take the difference. So the bottom sphere minus this one gave kind of a hollowed out shape, kind of a hollowed out submarine looking shape. And then I wanted to cut it off, and so I just defined a block to cut it apart. And so I ended up doing the difference. And so if I go back to my main code for this module ear shape, I'm taking the difference of all those. And so if I copy that out and put that over here. And then so now we have the difference. So the difference, you can have as many shapes as you want. So it will start with the first shape and then subtract out the next shapes. So very, very cool. And so that left me with kind of a rough, let's see, it probably won't run with these extra brackets in here. See if that will fix it. Yeah, there we go. And so that left me with kind of this hollowed out shape that ended up looking like an ear. And so again, I define one ear and then save that into its own module, and then you can use it anywhere you want it. So very cool. So I'm learning the basics of this OpenSCAD, and it's tricky, it's cumbersome, but I can start to see the power of this, because once you get one item that you like, chances are you're going to use that over and over and over, and it's kind of cool. And it turns out the last piece of info I need to learn about OpenSCAD is how to use items that other people have created. So it looks like there's lots of libraries out there with all kinds of shapes that have already been predefined that we can then borrow into our own project. So very cool. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, and again, look for me out here on Maker World. And I've got a handful of models, but I'm really kind of proud of these OpenSCAD models that are in the contest. So wish me luck. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.